Now, for the preview of the Tennessee Alabama game, got a big matchup third Saturday in October. I mean, this is the big one, boys. I hope y'all have already went to the smoke shops and looked around and kind of saw what fat cigar you might pick out for the game on Saturday. But yeah, it's the big one. This is the one people care about. Like I said earlier, Tennessee, you beat Alabama, people don't really care what you do the rest of the year. I mean, you can go 8-4, beat Alabama, and you're in pretty good shape. So, with that, I'm gonna go ahead and check out a couple. Oh, what does he got? What does he have? What is that? Oh, you only smoked half of yours last year? That's crazy.
You gotta hold on to this. This is the first time we beat Alabama in my son's lifetime. We live
Oh,
in a world.
your son's like
We live,
one and a half.
and he took a puff off this bad boy. All right. We
Oh
live in a
my
world
god.
where my son thinks Nick Saban, who? Alabama? What does that mean to him? They haven't beat
Nothing.
us in anything. Not football, not basketball, not softball, not golf, not volleyball. Shout out to the volleyball team having a ranked year this year.
Shout out
Okay.
volleyball, man.
Alabama means nothing to my son. I live in a world where we beat them one time in how many years? 20?
Yeah, pretty much.
He's sitting there thinking, why are you scared? So I had
Man,
to hold on to I had to hold on to this one. It sits right in my Neyland Stadium. Little statue. Look at
that's
that.
beautiful. That's beautiful. He's got it out for the pod. I was about to make a joke, but I'm just going to refrain from that. Um, anyways, let's go over kind of like a preview of what Alabama, Tennessee are averaging so far. So for their offenses this year, both have pretty good offenses. Whenever it comes to yardage, now putting points on the board, that's kind of been a deal for both teams this year. Tennessee averages 443 yards a game, 212 coming from that on the through the air, and then most of that coming from rushing, where we average 231 yards rushing a game. Absolutely insane stat for any college football team in the SEC. Alabama, on the other hand, averages 367 yards a game. They put up 219 through the air. And then rushing, they average rushing for about 148 yards a game. So Alabama rushing attack, not the same rushing attack that we're used to seeing come from them. And it's definitely not the same type of offensive line that we're used to seeing coming from Alabama. A little defensive stats here. Pass yards allowed. Tennessee gives up about 200 per game, and then only allows 105 rush yards. Alabama on the ground giving up the same amount as Tennessee, 105 yards on the ground. So another week where it's our run game versus a pretty good front seven. It's going to be the name of the game this week. It was the name of the game last week. South Carolina, that was our mismatch, and it was the name of the game then. For Alabama's passing defense, they have a pretty dang good pass defense. They only give up 187 yards through the air a game. So that's one of their strengths, and I would say that's probably our biggest weakness on our team. So that's also going to be a big matchup to watch. Christian, what's like your overview of the game as of right now on Monday night? What do you think of this?
I mean, it's a big one. Um, what really just kind of like scares me more than anything is, well, there's two things. Um,
Joe.
the well, that be one of them for sure. Just just because of hi- his inconsistency. That scares me because if if he can go out and like you said, just game manage, because we're going to have to throw the ball some to beat them. I really do believe that because Nick Saban's smart enough to know, okay, well, if the only thing that you can really do is run the ball, then we'll just load the box and, you know, our offense is set up to check into pass plays if there's 7 in the box and we've got 6 blocking, and so Joe's going to have to be able to throw it some. Um, but the thing that scares me is the last 2 big road games that we've been on was South Carolina last year and Florida this year, and neither one of them have turned out great in the Josh Heupel era. So I get nervous about that. I get nervous that you know I get nervous about those 2 things specifically, and then you go into just like it is Alabama, it is Nick Saban, and it is at Alabama. So that's 3 things that's very gonna be very, very hard to overcome. I think that this is one of the most beatable Alabama teams that we will have played. Um, they're definitely not even as good as what they were last year, but neither are we. So I'm very interested in seeing what is going to happen.
So, what's your thoughts as of right now?
We're a 9.5 point dog. Take Tennessee to cover. Joe Milton's gonna, Joe Milton's gonna go down there and be Joe. The thing that scares me the most about Alabama is Jalen Milroe's legs.
Yeah.
I think that he is just as good in the air as Joe Milton. I think that their run game is significantly worse than ours. I think their offensive line is as good as South Carolina's, which is not good for them. Their defense is okay. I'm interested to see what schemes they put together to try and uh, confuse Papa Heupel. I think that the game, man, I said at the beginning of the year that our season relies so heavily on Joe. Like if he plays good, we'll be all right. But if he plays bad, we won't be very good. And he's, like I said earlier, he's played average. People think that we're an average team. I think we're above average because our defense and our rushing game kept us there. But no better week to make a step up in the quarterback field for us than going to Tuscaloosa and doing it third Saturday in October. So think we come away with a W no matter what. So Joe Milton's just got to go down there and he's just got to be Joe. Don't go down there and be the best Joe he can possibly be. That's all he's got to do.
Just go vibe. Just go have a good time. And then just play relaxed. I think quarterbacks, whenever they get too stressed out or too worried about what they're going to do, I don't think they play near as well. So just go out there and
We can't play behind the sticks.
yeah,
I
that's
felt
the biggest thing.
we gotta control that crowd noise. Our offensive line's got to be disciplined. We got to know the snap count all the way around. We've got to be good. Discipline on the line with false start stuff like that. That kills teams on the road in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the biggest thing. It's hardest thing for the offensive line, I'm sure. I mean, whenever you got big SEC guys coming off the line at you, and you're trying to, you know, think of the snap count in your head, it's easy to, step off sides for a second or twitch or miss snap the ball or anything like that. I do have a couple of like really big things I want to note, and this is about our last 3 opponents, and then our last 2 SEC opponents, and then Alabama compared to them. So South Carolina sacks allowed coming into the Tennessee game. They were 121st in the nation. So really bad defense or offensive line there. They were also 118th in the nation in tackles for losses allowed. So just bad on both ends. Texas A&M, they were a little bit better, 76th in the nation in sacks allowed. Tackle for losses, however, they were 47th. So I would say that's pretty solid. Playing in the SEC and being about, top 50 in the national rank as far as offensive line stats go. Now this is where Alabama comes into play. Alabama ranks 130th in the nation in sacks allowed. So worse than South Carolina, by far worse than Texas A&M in sacks allowed so far this year. Whenever it comes to tackles for loss, they are 121st ranked. So worse than South Carolina, worse than Texas A&M. Against South Carolina, we had 6 sacks, 19 hurries, 8 tackles for loss. Against A&M, we had 2 sacks, 16 quarterback hits, 14 hurries, and 5 tackles for loss. Our defensive line in this game, I think, is going to have a heyday. And it's kind of weird saying that going into the Alabama game, but their offensive line is their weakness this year. And our strength is our defensive line. And if we show up how we have the last 2 conference games, I think we stop a lot of Alabama's offense throughout the night. I think we sack Milrow a lot. But going back to what you said, Sloop, the key is going to be stopping Milrow from getting out of the pocket whenever we rush him and containing him and getting him down and don't let him gash us for 30 or 40 yards. Because if he gets into that second level and our DBs are one-on-one with him, I don't know about it. He's shifty. He's real shifty.
Be thumbing through there.
Christian, what do you think about our defense versus their offense matchup?
I do really like that. That's the one big thing that I do really like. I really like that our defensive line sets up very well against their offensive line. I mean, Alabama has had a very hard time running the football this year. For most of the year, they did not run the ball well at all against Texas A&M, and so I really like that. I think that we're going to be able to really shut down the run for them, and we're going to kind of turn them into a passing team. And I think that we are going to be able to get home some. But the big thing is we're going to have to. Sleep talked about it with Milrow's legs. We're going to have to be able to contain him as well because if he gets out in space, he's probably the best athlete on the field at any given time. He just struggles sitting back there being a pocket passer.
He's scary. He is scary. I'm excited
Facts.
though.
He went 1 for 11 in the second half versus Arkansas.
Sheesh. Arkansas, not good. Not good at all.
Good at drinking beer.
What?
Gold beer. What?
What?
But yeah, Arkansas is not a great team, and they hung in there. They almost came back on Alabama. I mean, that's crazy. That might be a thing going forward for everybody to note while you're watching the game is don't overreact in the first half. Like, we haven't really started games off that great this year. We're kind of a second half team so far. And Alabama, after last week, I'm like, hey, even if we're down, 10 at the half against Alabama, we could do it. We could we might find ourselves in some comeback territory and make for a great game. Guess the only other thing I really want to talk about going into this one also is our quarterback passing game versus their secondary. Their secondary is great. They've always got really good cornerbacks. That's Nick Saban's position. I mean, he coaches them up well out there. They've always got the best defensive backs in the country. So that's going to be somewhere where we're going to have to test them a little bit, keep them honest early in the game. I think we need to throw a few deep balls, see what they got, and just keep them honest. I think that's the big key to this is they know we want to run the ball, but we got to make them think that we also want to throw the ball in order for it to be effective. I'm
gonna interrupt you and say this. Last week, both of you thought that we needed to pass the ball to be able to open that run game up. I don't think that no matter how many times we say it, we have to run the ball first to get that passing game to open up. I truly feel that
yeah.
no matter how good our rushing attack is, we have to be able to run the ball, get them to stack that box, and then get the one-on-ones with those corners. I mean, they are very athletic corners. They have very, very athletic corners, but I'm not our wide receivers have not played well so far this year. They got to find a way to step up in this game because if Joe Milton's going to play average, those guys have got to play average.
Yeah.
And it's bad to say. I think an average game can still win this game against Alabama. I don't think Alabama's that. I don't think that they're. I don't think
It's
they're a
not
top
like we're
5.
going in there playing the number one team in the country this year.
We're not playing Bryce Young. I'm really scared of their wide receiver. His name.
Trey Burton.
Really scared of him. Scared of Milrose's legs. I'm not scared of their corners though. I just think that if we open that run game up and open those one-on-ones out on the outside, our guys, a thing we haven't talked about really is how good at blocking our wide receivers are. Think about how many times we run screens and stuff to our wide receivers, and they are just blocking down. I mean,
Yeah, that is true.
I,
That's true.
we are. So I mean, I'm give credit where credit's due right there, but we got to be able to run the ball before we do anything. I'm all about hitting a deep shot early, but if you run that ball and let them know, like, hey, you're gonna have to stack the box, stop these 3 Sunday guys. Because I think all 3 of our running backs are Sunday guys eventually. If you run the ball on them first, I think the game's in the bag.
Yeah, I mean that probably going to be the key to the game again. Can we run the ball on these guys? Usually in SEC play, that's always the key to the game. Who wins the offensive line? Who runs the ball better? Wins the football game. You can look at all of our games this year, most of our games last year. If we got beat in the run game, we probably lost the game. Going back to Florida this year, I mean, that was the case. Um, it's going to be, it's a rivalry game. It's going to be loud at Bryant Denny. But I will say this, and it might be like roast worthy or whatever. You might agree with it. I'm not scared of playing Alabama at Alabama. We've had a lot of really bad teams go into that stadium and play really good games against their top, like I'm talking like their top of the top teams. Like we go in there and we put up a good fight against them. I'm not scared about playing there. Jared Garantano about won at Alabama. I mean,
Damn right he did.
if he would have handed the ball off or like just not turned it over at the inch line, like just not done what you're not supposed to do under any circumstance, we might win that game. Do what?
Jeremy Pruitt might still be our head coach if he does
that. God. I mean, everything happens for a reason, right? Everything happens for a reason. But yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of really bad teams go in there and put up good fights. So I don't think that's going to be a place that's like LSU night game where if we go to like Baton Rouge and we're playing at 7:00 at night, I'm like, this is not gonna be good for us. It's gonna be super loud. We're going to the Swamp at night. I don't think it's gonna be comparable to that. I think it's gonna be like still loud, but a tier below it, where we can kind of manage the game a little bit better, hear a little better, and think a little more clearly. But that's just my thoughts on it, fellas. I'd like to hear y'all's thoughts on old Bryant Denny, and whether or not Alabama is a like that tough of a road game, I guess.
Let me set the scene right here. It's 3:30 this Saturday. It's not that loud. Haven't been drinking all day. They're getting ready for church the next day. They don't even know who they're playing this week. You know why? Because it's a 3:30 game. They don't care. They don't care. They think last year was a fluke. So these guys still don't care. Does Nick Saban have a sour taste in his mouth? I think he does. But I don't think there's anybody else on that team that does. I really don't. I think he's going to try his best to get fired up. And around 3:30 on Saturday, Josh Heupel's going to have the boys riled up. He's going to have them ready to rock just like he did last year. He's going to get this thing rolling on Saturday in Tuscaloosa. I'm not scared of that stadium. I'm not. The only thing I'm scared of is how many points are we going to beat them by? Okay, because I mean that's only bad news for my friend Frank. That's only bad news. The more we win by, the drunker he gets. All right, we're going to win Tuscaloosa this Saturday. 3:30 kickoff, CBS primetime. Do we know if Gary Danielson and that?
I mean, if it's 3:30 on CBS, yeah, probably Gary Danielson.
Yeah,
but also SEC Network will be there, so I don't know if it'll also be playing on SEC. I don't know how that works.
I want to hear what he thinks about how loud it was last Saturday. This Saturday, he'll probably he'll probably sit there and suck them off a little bit and be like, "Oh, it's just as loud here as it was in Neyland last Saturday." Blah, blah, blah. Shut up. All right, we don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it. We're gonna win. We're gonna win some. We're gonna win by so much. We're gonna win by as much as we want to. Period.
You've got me
Gosh.
fired up.
Just hope I got Frank fired up.
Sloop don't give.
I would
Oh, never mind.
I would absolutely love to believe that hot take there. But no,
Not a hot take.
you were talking about like the stadium in general. The stadium there, for some reason, that's one of those stadiums that I've never really felt like was that big of a home field advantage type stadium. I think it is loud. I think that it is like a good I mean, it's an SEC stadium. Most of them are big besides Vanderbilt. But I've never thought that it was like just pure home field advantage whenever you go to Alabama. I never feel like you hear about the home field advantage at Alabama like you do in Neyland Stadium or down there at LSU at night or, around different other stadiums like around the SEC, like Texas A&M. You don't hear about Alabama Stadium being that. But but going into the game and going just like diving into that even more, like I would love to sit there and tell you that we were 100% without a doubt going to beat this team, but I'm still very, very hesitant on that. I definitely feel like that we've got a good chance to go down there on the road and beat them, but it's one of those things until I can see Heupel prove it on the road in a hostile environment, and until I can see, you know, our passing game getting moving just a little bit. I mean, Joe will at least have to throw for 200 for us to win, I would think. And I, it's just very hard for me to see a world in which we overcome the crowd factor and our own quarterback factor to be able to win against Nick Saban.
Who?
Against Nick Saban? Heard of him?
Luca was asking. He was just asking.
No.
Go on, Tyler. Let's hear what you got to say. I mean, are you so shell shocked by what Christian just said right there? Are you just sitting there contemplating how bad we're going to beat that Bama ass on Saturday? How bad those rich pricks down there in Alabama sit there and they're complacent. They've won so many national championships. I don't care. That's in the past. Nobody cares about how many national championships you've won in 2023. Yeah, that's why I kind of sit here and think I'm kind of glad that we sucked for years because now our fans are a little more into it than these guys that they've gotten used to winning.
They're spoiled rotten.
You're damn right they are.
I tell you this, Sloop. I don't give a damn about nothing but the Vols.
I don't give a damn about the whole state of Alabama.
Vols are going to win this one. I don't care what the ESPN predictor thinks. They give an Alabama a 65 chance to win. I mean, that's ridiculous. We're ranked 17th in the nation. Does it matter? No, because when we walk in there, Sloop, we're going to let our nuts hang. Big Joe, our offensive line, our running backs are going to turn up, and we're going to run all over them. 250 yards rushing, 6 sacks, and we're going to beat them by 14.
What?
No, I'm joking. I do think we'll beat them, but not by 14. I think it'll be kind of similar to my my Texas A&M prediction. I'm going to go Tennessee 31, Alabama this time 28. So I think we beat them by 3 again, but this time in their stadium. I think it's going to be similar to the Texas A&M game where we're going to have missed opportunities that we're going to be talking about after the game's over. We're like, yo, we could have won this by 2 touchdowns. But I think being on the road, I don't really care about that stadium, but being on the road kind of does play a factor, and we're just going to make some mistakes. We're going to make some mistakes. It's that simple. And we're going to win by 3. We're going to win. We're going to win. That's my thoughts on it.
Let me go before Mr. Dagobah goes. Hold on a second. Put my glasses back on. Okay. Here we go. W. Big W. I'm calling. Not only do we cover the spread, we flip the spread. That's a 10-point W, Christian. 10 points. 10. Count them up. Count them up right there. That's a 10-point W. I'm giving. Joe's going to go down there. Let them big cojones hang. Ramel Keaton's going to catch every ball that comes his way. Nimrod's going to get a tutty. Jacob Warren's going to get a tutty. I'm going to go 41-31. Big W. Big W right there. I'm going to go D. Williams another punt return. Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it right there.
Does he have the script? Does he have
That
the
would
script in mind?
be that would be the only way that we would ever get 41 points with Joe Milton playing quarterback for our
Oh, here we go.
But I did read a stat today
Wait,
that
Christian is Christian one of those guys that when they're announcing the start lineups and Joe pops up there, you think he goes, "Boo, you suck, boo."
I just don't cheer.
Definitely one of those like 30-year-old men. Like,
watch this guy starting again.
bring me Nico. Bring me Nico.
No, I definitely. That's another thing. That's another thing that we could talk about. But like, I definitely do not think that you start Nico this weekend or the next weekend because the next 2 are on the road at Alabama, on the road at Kentucky. But then if you looking down the barrel of you just lost 2 games in a row to teams, I don't think that will, and I don't think that we should. At that point, then it's time to just go ahead and say, all right, it's time to build for the future. And it's time to put Joe on the sideline. But going into this game, it's hard for me to envision us being able to score enough to win right now. I think that Alabama's offense just has too many playmakers to be able for us to overcome it. And I just think that right now where we're at, that Alabama is better than where Tennessee is at. I think that we match up better, we match up better on the front 7 of the defensive side with their offense. I think that we're going to be able to stop the run. I think that we're going to be able to keep it close. I do think that we're going to be able to turn, Milroe into a pocket passer. And I do think that he's going to have to be able to throw the ball to be able to beat us. But I also think that our secondary is not good enough to be able to hold up for an entire game against their receivers. And I think that's kind of where the game's going to be lost at, is at that area. I think that it's so hard for me. It's killing me that I'm about to even say that Alabama's going to win. But if I'm putting money on the game, I'm definitely taking Alabama to win, but I'm not taking them to cover the points. I would think that the final score would be 31-24 Alabama. And going back to one of the stats I heard today, and Josh Heupel's tenure as a coach and as a head coach, offensive coordinator, out of the 6 of the lowest scoring games that he has had as an offensive coordinator and as a head coach, Joe Milton has been the quarterback for 5 of them. And so that's very, very, very hard to stomach and very, very, very hard to take.
Well, that's a cool stat, but it ain't going to matter come Saturday. It ain't going to matter. It's not.
Forget
I mean, it's stats go out the window when you lace them up and you walk out onto that field, and it's man versus man, and you just got to see who the better man is. And Tennessee has proven time and time again that we're men, and Alabama is just boys. They don't stand a chance.
you
We've
guys-
got a sophomore by the name of James Pierce Jr. that's going to go out there and have his way. He's going to have a field day. He's going to have 4 sacks on Milrow because they're not even going to get off the ball, and he's going to be past them.
Let me lay it down
Because
right here. I don't give a shit what you say about your damn staff. I don't care what you say about, oh, if I had money, I'm going to throw it on them Crimson Sons of bitches Saturday. I don't care. I don't care one damn bit. You want to know why? Because I live this life with this orange on my chest, with it bleeding through my body. You wear that clothing, you have that hat on, and you can say on Monday, oh, 31 to, what did he say? 31 to what? 24?
What?
yeah.
Boom.
Hey, you me give you my
He's not even going to
you
buy
me
a
give you
cigar.
my
He's not even going to buy one.
I'm not. You want to give me give you my
That's crazy.
I bought one last year because I knew we were going to win.
I'm going to tell
You
you right now,
know-
if you don't buy a cigar, don't ask me for one because I'm buying a case. I'm buying a case of them. Me and my son picture where we've got them.
My orange colored glasses score, if you want me to give you an orange colored glasses score,
I don't want
my
it. I don't want it.
optimistic score and the way to win the game is up front with our front. We're going to have to dominate up front on defense, get to the quarterback, get to him a lot, keep him behind the sticks, turn Milrow into a pocket passer, and our secondary is going to have to be able to hold up in that. And then whenever we get on offense, Joe is going to have to be able to throw a few of these balls downfield and connect on some deep passes to even further let up on the run game, so the running game can keep going at the way that it has. And if we are able to do those things and get a turnover, get a pick six, because Milrow is very likely to throw a dang interception, but our coverage is going to have to be close enough for him to throw it. So if that was to happen, I could see us winning a 31-27 game. I do think it's gonna be close, and I mean, we've not really scored over 30 this year with Milton at quarterback. And whenever you're running the ball the way that we do, you do eat the clock and within you clock rule. So 30 points. Yeah, well, 49 points. So
That's more than 30 the last time I checked.
Well, we scored 30 against Austin P, 16 against Florida.
Come on, what was the other one? What was the other one?
42.
20 against Texas A&M.
What about Virginia and South Carolina?
35 against South Carolina on offense because we had a pick six.
Still scored.
I'm
Like
just telling you.
We could go down there and win by 40. Joe Milton only throws for 200 yards, has a tutty, an interception, but Jabari Small and all them fellas, they go for 400 yards apiece, and somebody's going to get Joe out of there. Bring me Nico.
Here's a question for you guys. I got a question. Do you think that it is, like, for me, I know for myself, it's been a lot harder, like, not harder to watch, like, the games or anything, but it's a lot more difficult for me to be as optimistic as what I was last year with the team that we had last year. And do you think that is because of like we're not able to throw the ball down the field like we were last year? Because I mean, last year there was times like last year whenever we kicked the field goal against Alabama to win that game. There's absolutely no way in the world that Josh Heupel would allow Joe Milton to run those two plays that he let Hendon Hooker run at the end of the game there to get down the field.
I think that the level of optimism comes from look, I mean, we can't sit here and say like it's all on Joe. I mean,
I'm not saying it is either.
We had 3 NFL wide receivers. 3. Brew McCoy is a future NFL wide receiver. Cedric Tillman is an NFL wide receiver, and Jalen Hyatt should be the wide receiver for the Giants. Shout out Jalen Hyatt. We had 3 NFL wide receivers on that team. We had 1 this year, in my opinion. I thought Ramel Keaton could be, but I don't think he is now. He's not made that step up. I thought he's not made that step up like I thought he could. Now, I'm not saying he won't, but he's not. Joe Milton has, yes, he is not putting the ball where he's supposed to a lot of the times, but at what point in time do we sit here and say these guys have got to be better too? I mean, we had a team full of Sunday guys like Hendon Hooker, Sunday guy, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, Brew McCoy will be, Jalen Wright, Jabari Small. That's just some of the guys I think that were on the team last year that will be continue to play in further their career in the NFL. Now you have no wide receivers right now that are going to be Sunday guys. Joe Milton probably going to be a Sunday guy just because of physique. All 3 running backs will be Sunday guys. So, I mean, your optimism from last year to this year is an unfair comparison, but I think that you don't have it this year because you don't see that elite talent. Because even to the naked eye, you can see elite talent. Even to an untrained eye, you can see elite talent. You can see that guy is a lot better than everyone else on the We don't have anyone outside of our running backs and some of our offensive linemen right now that are like, that guy's a lot better than everyone else on the field. And that's my.
We definitely don't have that at wide receiver at all. Not this year. With any of the guys. Well, yeah, but I mean, we just didn't target Brew that much. That was the crazy thing. Brew's just a short-handed. He's a great blocker. He's a guy you could count on, but he's not Jalen Hyatt. Like, he's not got outstanding speed. He's more of like a Jawan Jennings. Definitely an NFL guy. Definitely a guy you want on your team, but he's not like that top tier, top of talent. I don't know, guys. I think it's more so from last year going into the year. Most people expected us to be like 8-4, 9-3, somewhere in that area. 9-3 was pretty optimistic. 10-2 really wasn't. Like 10-2, people that nobody had us getting predicted at 10-2 last year. Nobody. Most Vol fans with the orange colored glasses didn't have 10-2 as their prediction. Besides Sloop, who had us at 12-0. But part of it comes from that. Last year, we didn't expect us to be that good. We really didn't. I know I didn't. And then going into the season and seeing what we were and how electric we were and the passion that the fan base had because we were finally good, I think that plays a lot into it. And then this year, you're kind of reaching for that same type of excitement, but we've already gotten it. You know?
It's like crack. It's like crack. You just can't get that same first high again.
Right. It's like the first time you do crack, it's just crazy. And then that second time, I mean, it's great, but it's not like the first time. But yeah, I mean, I think part of it's that. I honestly do. I know for me, this year, I'm a lot more stressed out than I am whatever happens. Last year, I was like, I mean, if we lose this, we're still better than I thought we were, so well. This year, I have the expectation where we should be 10-2. So
they spoiled you. You're just as bad as
they spoiled me. Oh, God, dude. They spoiled me. That's what it was. No. I have my whole heart invested in this Sloop. I'm not like them Crimson Sons of bitches down south. Tuscaloosa. What kind of name is that?
I had us at 8-4, 9-3 this year, just because you lost so many people.
Yeah.
You lost a Blittenkoff winner. You lost Hendon Hooker, and that's why I know I am very hard on Joe. But I also try to not be as much just because of who he had to come after. I know you're the
hardest person in the nation on period.
I'm also not taking just telling him that we need to get him out of the game. No, it's just he's going to have to play better. Like, I'm not saying we need to start Nico. I'm not saying that we need to play Nico. I'm saying that, he's going to have to play better if we're going to meet our full potential for us to be as good as what we possibly can be. Because would I like somebody else to be back there at quarterback? Absolutely. If we could go get Oklahoma's quarterback or, somebody like that, I would absolutely love it. I think that like last weekend, we'd have won about 42-13. And we'd have just absolutely blown Texas A&M out. He is a decent, if that, college quarterback. And if you go around the SEC, I was asking myself this today. If you go around the SEC, what quarterbacks are you not taking over? Like, what quarterbacks out there? So you go through Rattler, you go through all those guys. I'm taking probably 7 to 8 guys, 9 guys maybe, before I pick Joe Milton.
Yeah, he's middle of the pack this year in the SEC for sure.
Because you got Rattler, you got the guy down there at what's it called at LSU. You got
Jaden Daniels.
You got Jaden Daniels. You've got, I'd take Milroe at Alabama over Joe just because of his running ability.
I don't know. Milroe has been not very impressive this year. And I wouldn't say he's trash can. Maybe since it's just Alabama's league, but I would say him and Joe are on the same level. Him and Joe are like right there, middle of the pack, with like KJ Jefferson. But I definitely think that the thing with Joe is he's got it. That's the hard thing about it. It's like he has all the intangibles. He has the size, the arm strength. He makes really good decisions as well up until the last few weeks. But Joe has it, and we saw it in the Clemson game.
You know what?
Yeah, and that's because it's Alabama.
This is Jalen.
Oh gosh.
Sleep, quit showing yourself on the screen.
It's just I don't know. I want to cheer for him so bad, and I want him to be good so bad because it helps all of us, and it makes all of us. It makes the team better. It makes my life a lot easier on freaking Saturdays, where I'm not sitting there stressed out wondering how in the world are we about to get beat by Texas A&M at home and not been able to put up more than 7 points and a half. I've never seen that before.
Here's what I have friends that text me. We have had shots we didn't take. Our QB is awful. Literally, we should play Nico in the second half to see what happens. Joe is awful. Joe literally sucks butt. And then they say, I would love to like him, but he's effing terrible.
Yeah.
And that's what kills me about guys that say they want to like Joe, is because he played an average game. And this is what I'm saying.
I wouldn't consider that average.
He played an average. I mean, it's not. He didn't throw. He threw a pick. Did he throw a touchdown?
Yes,
he should have thrown.
He did throw a touchdown. He had a touchdown drop. Same drive though, so it's kind of
straight up Derrick Henry. 2 guys. He played an average. Guys. So I mean, that's what kills me is guys like Frank, who we're all friends with and love to death, love to say stuff like that on Saturdays, and then on Mondays, I'd love to love Joe and all that, whatever. It's all bullshit at the end of the day.
Look. We could have this Joe Milton debate for forever. But he's our quarterback, and we should support him. And
damn right.
He's our QB1. He's Joe Cool, and he's going to lead us to a big victory on Saturday night against the Alabama Crimson Tide. And that Willie guy on TikTok, he's going to be upset. He's going to be real upset.
I bet nobody outdrinks Willie on Saturday.
Willie is going to drink a lot, and he's probably going to cry. He's going to be real upset. He's going to get double cross-eyed. Nah, that's me. I shouldn't say that.
Nobody give a damn about nothing but.
Yeah.
That's the best TikToks out there.
I mean, when that's your like, you ask, hey, who do you want to put up as your number one Alabama fan? You put up him. Kind of hurting on Alabama fans. Yeah, but whatever. I actually like that guy. I mean, he's really funny.
Hey, fellas, I gotta hop off. Baby's crying in the bedroom, teething. So
that's
love
fine.
y'all.
That's
Go
fine.
Vols. Jalen Milroe's a trash can. I hope Frank realizes.
Piss about nothing but the Vols.
Buck Fama this week. You know what I'm saying? All right, love y'all.
See you, Sloop.
Audio, Sloop Dog.
Yeah, Frank.
Well, Frank, your camera's going to mess up, so I say we just call it there. Everybody, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Rocky Top Ramble, brought to you by Little Debbie's.